Hi, I'm Robert Reil. In machinery, operations, and business systems, I learned that small unseen variables can create large downstream failures. That is why I look at growth problems through structure first, not pressure first. Today, we're looking at the hidden bottleneck that forms when every decision still has to come back to the leader. Many business owners feel overwhelmed as their companies grow, but the structure often starts before anyone calls it a problem. At first, the questions feel normal because the owner knows the customers, the people, the work, and the decisions. Then decisions pile up. Employees ask constant questions, and ordinary tasks wait for approval before they move. What once felt manageable starts feeling exhausting because the leader has become the center of every decision. That is often the moment a business operational bottleneck begins forming. The real issue is not that the company has too much opportunity. The issue is that the business has outgrown the way decisions currently move throughout the company. In small organizations, centralized decision making can work well because the owner understands every part of the business. Employees rely on the leader for guidance, and that reliance may even feel efficient at first. But as the company grows, that same model becomes unsustainable. More employees require more decisions, more customers require faster responses, and more work creates more expectations. Without structured systems, the leader becomes the default decision maker. For situations the business should already know how to handle. Every question flows upward, and the organization slows while everyone waits for the person at the center. The details change, but the pattern is consistent. People wait because the business has not defined where judgment ends and authority begins. The bottleneck does not occur because the leader is ineffective. It occurs because the system has not been designed to distribute decision making. When processes are unclear, employees seek guidance because they do not want to make the wrong call. When responsibilities overlap, approvals become necessary because nobody knows who truly owns the decision. The leader becomes the point where everything converges, and that convergence slows the entire system. But often, the team is responding logically to an unclear operating environment. If the process does not define acceptable actions, people protect themselves by asking permission. If the role does not define responsibility, people protect themselves by sending the decision upward. The breakdown usually begins with early signals that are easy to ignore. The staff member asks for approval on a small customer issue, or a task pauses because one detail is not documented. Each moment looks minor, so the leader answers and moves on. But each answer reinforces the habit of returning to the leader instead of relying on the system. Then behavioral drift begins. People create workarounds, and the business becomes dependent on memory instead of process. One person may discount a service, another may escalate it, and another may delay it until the owner responds. Customers experience inconsistency, and leadership starts mistaking constant availability for operational control. Eventually, reporting becomes unreliable because decisions happen through side conversations, private messages, verbal approvals, and undocumented exceptions. At that point, leadership loses visibility because the real process lives in interruptions, approvals, follow-ups, and memory. Healthy organizations design systems that allow decisions to move through the company without constant leadership intervention. Processes define acceptable actions so employees know what can be handled without asking every time. Responsibilities are clearly assigned so people understand who owns the work, who supports it, and who must be consulted only when needed. Employees operate within structured boundaries, which gives them freedom without creating chaos. This is the difference between delegation and abdication. Delegation gives people authority inside a defined system. Abdication hands off work without the structure needed to protect quality, consistency, and accountability. Before correction, the leader approves the normal, the unusual, and the unclear. After correction, the system separates routine decisions, exception decisions, and leadership level decisions. If this is the kind of systems thinking that's useful to you, this is probably a good time to subscribe, because this channel is built around making growth problems visible before they become bigger constraints. Opportunity mapping helps reveal where decision flow is breaking down. It shows where work stalls, where questions repeat, where responsibility is unclear, and where the leader is being pulled into decisions that should already have a path. Once the system becomes visible, leaders can redesign processes that distribute responsibility effectively. This does not mean every employee gets unlimited decision power. It means the business defines decision lanes, approval thresholds, escalation rules, and ownership boundaries. A sales team may need clear rules for discounts, follow-up timing, and proposal changes. The point is to stop using the leader as the only reliable connection between every moving part. Leadership bottlenecks are rarely caused by leadership itself. They are caused by systems that rely too heavily on centralized control. Structure allows organizations to scale without exhausting their leaders. If decisions in your organization seem to require constant approval, the first step is not simply working harder or answering faster. The first step is reviewing how responsibilities are structured and where decision authority needs to be designed. A business cannot scale cleanly when every path leads back to one person. That is the kind of problem BizHackz is built to make visible, because clean growth does not come from pushing harder inside a broken decision path. It comes from designing a path clearly enough that the business can move without forcing everything back through one person. If you want more system-first business clarity, follow the channel and keep looking for the structure behind the pressure.